Hello and welcome to the Salem Station podcast. This is the show where we rank and review all of your favorite horror movies. I'm your co-host Robert,
And I'm your co-host Enrique.
and today we're recording this kind of early. I'm planning on probably releasing this in April, actually, in
Oh, okay,
preparation
for sure.
for Evil Dead Rise. But this is the Witching Hour episode for Evil Dead, the Evil Dead franchise. We haven't done one of these since Saw, I guess.
Oh
And
yeah, and I think is this the first one that I'm on?
oh yeah, this is the first one you're on. Uh,
Yeah, I think it is. Maybe.
yeah, I think so. We've only done three, so and the other, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is our fourth one, Witching Hour. You might be like, what the hell is that? These are the episodes where we usually go over like an entire franchise. I've only done this three other times, and you asked me if this episode might be a bit longer. I think this one's going to be short. Just comparing it to the other three, because the other three have been on Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Saw, and all of those franchises have like nearly
Double-digit movies.
yeah, so those episodes are a little long, and like Halloween and Saw get a little convoluted, which is the reason why I actually haven't done one in a while, because I think I did both around almost back to back, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like the two franchises I chose to do like right after one another. Like they're so messy, but Evil Dead is nice and short and sweet.
Oh yeah, gotta keep it simple.
Yeah, 4 movies only, soon to be 5. And so yeah, this episode might be short.
We definitely got to do one on Final Destination.
Oh
I think.
yes. Yes. Oh my god, we have to. Final Destination is actually my favorite horror franchise. I don't know if I ever said that on the podcast, but I fucking love that franchise. I would love to do one, dude. That would be like over 2 hours. That would be over 2 hours long, dude. I could ramble about that. I started collecting like Final Destination stuff. I think I might have shown you
posters that you have.
Yeah, I have the third poster, which looks
those are really cool.
so dope. I want to get the other ones as well, and I got this box set that was released in Germany. I don't know. I think I might have showed it to you. Yeah, it looks so nice. I'll have to post it on Instagram, our Salem Station Instagram, which you can go check out those images, I guess, if I ever do post them. But that box set looks so dope. It's the best box set I have. Oh fuck! I want to do Final Destination now. Anyways, Evil Dead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring that to derail us.
Evil Dead though is still a pretty damn good franchise though.
Yes, it is.
And unlike
With
Final
a successful sequel, I think.
Oh,
Not sequel, remake.
yes.
Yeah.
And unlike Final Destination, I'll admit Final Destination has a bad movie, which is the fourth one. Have you ever seen that one?
I think I've seen most of them, if not all of them.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
the fourth one's pretty bad. It's the one with the NASCAR accident.
Oh yeah. I would definitely say that's the worst of the series.
Yeah. Even though it's the worst, I kind of still have a soft spot just for nostalgia's sake. But unlike that franchise, I think there's not a single bad movie in Evil Dead, and I think most people would agree. Like,
I would definitely agree.
I think most horror fans would probably point to this as like the near perfect franchise. Second would probably be like maybe Scream, but even then, like Scream 3 kind of puts a bad taste in some people's mouth.
Yeah. So no pressure for the new movie, right?
Yeah, I'm actually kind of scared for the new movie. It looks.
Yeah.
I've seen the trailer and I like it a lot, but
Okay.
at the same time, I'm like crossing my fingers, like I don't want them to mess it up because it's been a perfect streak as of yet.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go in hoping, or not hoping, but expecting to either be let down or to be surprised.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I hope it's the latter.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been an Evil Dead movie since 2013. 4 movies total. The first 3 are a trilogy of sorts by Sam Raimi, and then the fourth one is a remake. And I guess we can start off talking about the franchise with the first one, The Evil Dead. Normally, like, these episodes are me usually explaining everything to Alex, because he usually hasn't seen these movies, but you've seen all of these movies, I think. Yeah.
I have, yes.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of them multiple times, I think.
Yeah, I've seen all of these so many times, dude. They're all so fun. I think also what keeps this franchise kind of like fresh is that no movie is like one another, I guess,
Hmm.
in the series. They all
That's true.
have
Yeah.
very different tones. Some of them are kind of like, I don't know, they blur tones and
Yeah,
or
there's a little bit of
genres.
overlap in between the movies, I
Hmm.
think.
Yeah.
As far as the tone goes, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the first one, I don't know what much there is to talk about the first one just cuz I feel like what is there to say that hasn't already been said about the first one?
Right.
I guess Ash, like going back and watching that first one, Ash kind of stands out because he's not the Ash that we know from like the second and third one. He's like
Yeah.
he's so mild mannered. It's kind of like I don't
Yeah,
know.
especially before everything goes crazy.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
just a completely different character.
yeah.
Like becomes unrecognizable in the sequels basically. Like
Yeah. Yeah, he does become unrecognizable. I like the journey he goes on in the
yeah,
movies, but yeah, that first movie
some good character development.
he only becomes like he only becomes the protagonist in that first one, I feel, just cuz he's the sole survivor, I guess.
Hmm.
Whereas the other ones you watch and you're like, okay, yeah, he's the main man here. He's the head honcho.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Evil Dead's great. It's on my top 10 horror films of all time on my list. That
Oh, okay.
list I've
Yeah.
forgotten. I think it's perfect, I guess. Near perfect
Hmm.
to what it could be. I don't know what else there is to say about the first one. It's a
Um
pretty simple story, low budget.
yeah.
It's about this group of friends who go out into the woods and they discover this ancient book in this cabin that they're like
Hmm.
kind of gonna stay at over a week or so. And the book, spoilers, is the Necronomicon or the Book of the Dead. They don't read from it, rather they find like a tape player, and
Hmm.
the tape player says the words from the book, which begin their shenanigans. People get possessed to become deadites, which are what like
Yeah,
they're
basically.
they're
They're possessed by the
zombie.
Deadites, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
really know specifically, but I think the deadites are like demons of
Yeah, I
sorts.
think so. I think so. Something
Yeah,
like that. They're able to possess human bodies that are living or dead, I think.
yeah, and that's kind of what the antagonists are of all the movies.
Hmm.
I think the deadites obviously are the weakest. I think in terms of like portrayal in the first one, like you look at
Yeah.
them and it's just people in makeup. Whereas like I don't know, I think this like the other ones obviously they have bigger budgets, right?
Yeah, they
But
go all out with how they make the Deadites look, that's for sure.
yeah, like in the second one, there's one with like a
Oh
long
yeah.
neck and stuff. But in the first,
Yeah.
it's just like a chick with like blue and white paint on her face, which
Hmm.
I don't mind it for some of the characters. Like there's I think Ash's friend, his name is Scotty. There's like a moment where he becomes a deadite and he like sits up Michael Myers style in the first one. I think that shot is pretty dope.
I think I
Uh
remember that. And the makeup's pretty solid for him, Scotty, right?
yeah, it is. And but there's like other moments. I don't know if it's his girlfriend, Ash's girlfriend, but it's so fucking annoying when she's
Is
laughing.
it? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I think yeah, I remember that scene.
She's like clapping her hand and her
Uh-huh.
laughter is just so goddamn annoying. But I think one of the best things to come out of that first movie is the whole the I think it's his sister Cheryl. She's like locked under in the basement cellar,
Hmm.
and obviously it's chained up, so like they're up against. I like that whole visual, which is obviously kind of shown a bit in the second and the remake.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I don't know what else there is to say about Evil Dead. If you haven't seen it, go
You
watch
should
it.
watch
Go
it.
watch all of these.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, Evil Dead, great. Evil Dead 2. Did you watch these in order? Like when you first? I don't know if you remember the first time you ever watched these, but
I think Evil Dead 2 is the one that I saw
Mhm.
before any of the other ones, but
Mhm.
I then did go back and watch them in order.
Right. So you weren't going from like the first, which is a horror tone, and then the second one's obviously like a horror comedy. You already knew right from the get go that there was like some like
Some silliness going on,
yeah some
some wacky
silliness.
stuff.
Just because
Yeah.
I want to know what it must have been like for people who I did go from the first to second, but I went in
Uh-huh.
knowing that there was gonna be wacky hijinks.
No, yeah, yeah, same. I also went in knowing that it was kind of a comedy,
Mm-hmm.
like reminiscent of like Child's Play, just because
Yeah.
like the protagonist, well, in this case, or in Chucky's case, or in Child's Play's case, it's not the protagonist, but like there's a character that stands out, as the comedian
Right.
in that series,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd
And
say it's Ash, maybe in Evil Dead,
yeah.
especially with his like facial acting, Bruce Campbell's.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great.
I know I streamed these movies to my friends
Hmm.
about like a year ago. And there was a friend of ours who hadn't seen these movies or didn't know about these movies. So going from one movie to another, it was such an experience. Because then she was like, "What the fuck?" Like the second one is so like off the walls bonkers,
It
which
really is, yeah.
which I kind of like. And then it also sets a precedent that like each movie kind of tries to one up the other in terms of like how much blood they use, because there's like an absurd amount of blood in the second one with
Yes, there is.
blood spewing out of like the walls, and I don't know, it's insane. But I think Ash is like by himself for almost the majority of the movie.
He's like possessed in the
Oh
beginning, I
yeah,
think, right?
yeah, he is. I forgot about that. Yeah, he's possessed. So yeah, well, yeah, he's basically alone in the movie up until like the everyone else like
Everyone else just shows up.
yeah, everyone else
Yeah,
shows up, but they show up to like the third act, I want to say. Everything else is just him, and he kind of carries
yeah.
obviously the movie. It's great.
Hmm.
But it's him possessed. He's evil. How does he become unevil again? I don't remember.
I think it's like the sun comes up or something,
Oh
and
yeah.
he just like kicks it. He like resists the
Become
possession
evil.
or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't I don't think it's ever really explained.
Yeah. And then his hand becomes possessed.
Yeah, that's because he's bitten, I think,
I
by his dead girlfriend.
Oh yeah, by his dead girlfriend's head, which is like stuck in a vice
Yeah,
or
because
something.
he had like buried her.
Hmm.
Well, like the second movie is kind of like a soft reboot of the first one,
Oh yeah, I
more or
forgot to
less,
mention
because
that.
it kind of covers the events of the first one briefly
In the
in the
beginning.
beginning.
Yeah, but they change it up a bit. Where
Yeah, it's a little different.
yeah, because in the first movie it's Ash, his sister, and their friends, which is like a group of five. But in the beginning of the second movie, they changed it up so where it was only Ash and his
And
girlfriend,
his girlfriend. Yeah.
which kind of all the movies do that, where they kind of retcon some of the prior movie. Because Army of Darkness does the same, which is the third movie.
It kind of does, yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, because
It's a bit of a continuation of Evil Dead 2 though, still, right?
yeah, it's
Cuz
still
like the end of Evil Dead 2. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then I heard that there's like the reason why that is like the in
Hmm.
universe reason. I don't know why they actually did that, like why they
I
decided
think
to
it
do
was a
that.
rights issue
Oh, rights issue.
over the rights of the first movie,
Right. That would make sense,
I
yeah.
think. Yeah.
But the in-universe reason that they then like I guess retconned is that it's the Necronomicon just like changing up reality that it can do
Oh.
that, and that's why it looks different in every movie. And
Oh,
um
that's true. It kind of does.
and they explained that in the or at least they explained it around the time of the release of the remake, and that's how they
Hmm.
justified the remake being in continuity because it is a remake, right, of the original movie, I guess, the original
Right.
ish, but it's still considered in canon with all the others. But it's just that the Necronomicon is updating events as the time passes by.
I see.
But yeah, the second one, there's the Necronomicon again. Obviously he's still stuck in the cabin. He goes nuts. His hand gets possessed. He cuts off his hand.
Yeah.
It starts scurrying around like what's its name, thing from the Addams Family.
Yeah.
It flips him off. It's funny, goofy hijinks. Um, he does some crazy body acting and like Three Stooges, like
Oh yeah,
comedic
like physical comedy
physical comedy. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Where he's like actually like doing
with
flips
his
and
hand.
stuff.
Oh yeah, his hand just like flips him over a table and stuff.
Yeah, and he's like smashing plates up against his head.
Yeah.
Like it sounds absurd. It sounds absurd, but Evil Dead 2 is actually like amazing.
It
I
is.
think this is
It is an
regarded.
amazing movie.
I think this is actually regarded as like the best one by most horror fans.
I would say so, maybe.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
I know most people praise this one more than all the others, and I think it is. I think it is solely because the majority of the movie is just Ash going insane.
Uh
I
huh.
think one of my favorite moments is where he's like sitting after he's already like chopped off his hand and he bandages it up.
Yeah.
He's like sitting and then like the chair breaks and he falls and then everything around him starts laughing like the deer head.
Oh yeah, the mounted deer heads.
Even like the
Yeah.
books and the lamp starts like nodding up and down making a laughing noise and it's like what the fuck is going on? like like he's completely lost it at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's meant to be shown as like that's the evil that the Necronomicon can do, like it's actually moving those objects, or if that's just him losing his mind, which I think is kind of cool in that movie. Like you can't tell
It's a
what.
bit ambiguous like that.
Yeah, because when they
Yeah.
show up, when everyone else shows up, it's
Uh huh.
back to the Deadites. Like
Yeah.
I think her name's Henrietta, the one that's in the cellar or whatever.
She's the daughter of the guy who did the original recording,
I
right?
think so,
Of
but
like the
like
archaeologist who discovered the Necronomicon
yeah,
or something.
yeah, and like it goes. Yeah, it does go back to those Deadite things, and you no longer get
Yeah.
like the laughing, shit around him and Looney Tunes esque stuff. So I am that might be actually just him actually losing his mind.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah, but that shit's always like funny for me. And then yeah, they show up and he has to read. Or no, I think the chick is her name Bobby Joe. I just remember the name Bobby
I
Joe
don't
from that
know.
movie.
I don't know their names of a lot of the characters in this series, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, I don't know most of their names either. Probably just because Ash steals the show in like
Yeah,
all the
he kind of
movies
does.
and all the scenes that it's like the other characters you kind of don't even need them. But I think the chick reads from the book or something, or maybe he does
Something like
to
that.
kind of like save the day. But all it ends up doing is it kind of sends Ash back into the
Back in
past.
time.
Yeah. And the friend who I was showing this for the first time did not know what was to come. So the second movie ends with Ash in medieval Europe.
Yeah, he's just waking up after being sucked through this time portal or
Yeah.
time vortex or something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like you just see him in his car, like they fall in like a deserty looking area. And my friend, she was like, "What the hell is going on?" And then these dudes and these like these knights in armor, they're showing up, and she's like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like,
And then the movie ends like that.
and then the movie ends like that. You're like, "What?" I can't imagine what it must have been like watching that, and then
Yeah.
just being like, "Well, like?" Obviously, I don't know how long the third one must have come out. Let me actually look that up. I wonder how long the third one.
I think that was something we've talked about before, and
Oh, probably.
we said we were gonna look it up, and we just never did. And we forgot about it.
Yeah. So Army of Darkness is 1992. Evil Dead 2 is 1987. So that's about like 5 years ish.
Oh wow, yeah.
So for 5 years, people probably were like, "That's just in medieval Europe, I guess." So the third film is Army of Darkness. That's what it's called. Originally, actually supposed to be called Medieval Dead, which I think is a way better name. But
It is a better name.
I think Medieval Dead is just a badass name. I don't know. I think it fits perfectly, but I don't know. Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness is the third film, and the tone is drastically different than what the franchise started off with. The first is horror. Second is horror comedy. The third, it's almost like no horror at all. It's straight up comedy.
No, not really. Just in the fact that the Deadites are in it, I guess, is the
Oh,
horror part, maybe.
Yeah. That
And the evil Ash guy.
Evil Ash. That's probably about it. But it's more like a fantasy.
Fantasy comedy, kind of.
But yeah, it's fantasy comedy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Ash is stuck in medieval Europe, thanks to the Necronomicon at the end of the second one, and then kind of like how the second one retcons some of the ending of the first. That kind of does it here too, because at the end of the second one, he shoots that flying thing, and
Oh,
then
you're right.
they're all like, "Oh, hail he who whatever some shit."
Right, right. But that's not how the Army of Darkness starts off. It starts
Yeah,
off with him being a prisoner.
yeah, he's shackled and he's being
Yeah.
taken. Like, yeah, and so the third one also retcons. Did you know going into the third one like how absurd it was gonna get? Or
I mean, I figured pretty absurd because all of a sudden you're in medieval Europe with
yeah,
Knights of the Round Table or King Arthur's Knights or whatever.
yeah,
But yeah, I didn't think it was gonna get as zany and wacky as it did.
yeah.
Just embrace the whole comedy aspect of it.
They really did. I'm surprised it also
Yeah.
like it works. Like I don't hear anyone complain about this like trilogy at all.
Uh-huh.
Where like every movie is just completely different. Like everyone's like, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ash has to find the Necronomicon in order to go back to the past, or I'm sorry, go
Mhm.
back to back to the future, back to his
Oh
time.
yeah. Back to the
Fine.
Future.
He ends up with the Necronomicon at the end of the movie, but not before he goes through many hijinks. I think
Doesn't he like say the thing wrong though? He like he
oh,
says the
oh
spell
yeah,
wrong,
yes, yeah.
right?
I
Or
think
he like mumbles his way through like the last part of it.
yeah, because there's like a wizard or something who's like, okay,
Yeah.
you gotta say these words like this
And he
when
doesn't
you
remember that.
he doesn't remember them, so he's like muttering them under his like breath as he
Yeah.
gets the Necronomicon. It's funny, but I think what to you is your favorite. Which movie has your favorite Ash? I think for me, it's
I think
probably Army of Darkness.
really? I
Yeah,
was gonna say probably Evil Dead 2.
Yield It to. I think that's probably the popular answer.
Yeah, though Army of Darkness is when he kind of embraced the whole badass protagonist aspect
Yeah,
of it.
I like
It's kind
the
of like a power trip for him that whole third movie.
yeah, dude. It really is because once he realizes that he has technology. Well, I don't know.
uh,
I mean, I guess you could call it technology.
or like the knowledge of
The
technology,
knowledge of
of more advanced
technology.
technology.
He has
Yeah.
a shotgun and he has a chainsaw with him in medieval Europe. He's like,
Plus, he's dealt with deadites before too.
plus he's
So
dealt with deadites.
yeah,
Like he sees himself as like, yeah, I'm above these fucking primitive
he
assholes.
kind of does. Yeah.
To be fair, I'm not saying I would too. If I were in
Uh-huh.
that situation, but I just love it where he's like, this is like my boomstick. I think that to me is like perfect Ash.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think probably the most quotable. Well, yeah, I think so. That and give me some sugar, mama.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes into full Looney Tunes mode. There's two versions of the movie. The one that's in canon is the one where he goes back to his time after
And he's working at the
at
what is it?
S-Mart, which is
S-Mart. Yeah.
like the hardware department store he works at.
Yeah.
Not before though. What is it? No. How does he end up with the evil version of him?
I think when he's first going to get the Necronomicon, he has to fight like a clone of himself or something.
I don't remember.
And he kills that clone and buries him. And then he comes back when he messes up the spell, I think. I don't remember.
I don't remember how evil Ash, but at some point in the movie, he gets cloned, I guess.
Yeah, something happens.
And
I think it was magic or
it must
maybe
have been
maybe
magic.
deadite stuff.
Probably Deadite.
I don't know.
And yeah, he does get, and there's an evil version of him. Yeah, he's
Uh-huh.
completely evil. And then he actually, oh okay, I remember now.
Okay.
Well, kind of, but now I have more questions. It's because one of there's a scene where there's like a gazillion tiny ashes.
Oh yeah. I
Uh,
don't even remember why that happens.
that's,
to
that's
begin
that's what I have a question on now. Why are there tiny ashes now?
with.
But there's tiny ashes, and they try to tie him up, and they pin him down, and one of them jumps into his mouth. So then he grows out an extra head, and that is evil Ash when they separate. But
Oh, okay.
now I have a question
Yeah,
as to
that sounds familiar.
now I have a question as to where did the little ashes come from? I
I
don't.
just remember the hijinks of when he's trying to get them all and they're like tripping him up and
Yeah,
Just avoiding him.
he's fighting little versions of. Okay,
Yeah.
I think I remember. Wasn't it that there's a mirror and then it smashes and then tiny little versions come out of the reflection?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
think
I'm just gonna go ahead and say yes
I'm putting
because
this
that
movie
makes sense
together.
to me. I don't know.
Look, it somehow makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then he has an evil version who looks all scarred after he buries him,
Yes,
and
because he comes back as a deadite, right?
yeah, and then he has to fight himself in medieval Europe.
There's like a huge battle at the end.
There's a huge ass battle, dude.
Uh
Where
huh. Like Lord of the Rings scale battle.
yeah, there's like this army of skeletons going
And
to
deadites.
Castle Kandar, which is what the Kandarian demons are named after. I
Uh
didn't
huh.
realize that's what the
Oh,
castle
which
was
I think we
called.
forgot to mention. The Kandarian demon shows up in the last movie. That like big
Oh,
fleshy looking thing,
yeah. That's in the
right?
second one. Yes,
Yeah,
I
like
forgot to mention.
before the tree busts into the house and
Hmm. And
the
there's like a
whole time
Kandarian
portal's
dagger.
open. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and so that's what I guess they're named after the castle, Castle Kandar,
Hmm.
and he has to team up with Arthur and Henry the Red, which I think is the name of the other knight,
Yeah, they were
and
like these two guys were fighting before he showed up,
and
right?
now they're they were fighting, and now they're teaming up to fight the greater evil, which is Evil Ash,
Yes.
and he saves the day, and then after he saves the day, he gets to go back to his time.
Hmm.
But there's two endings. One of them, like I mentioned, is the canonical one where he goes back to his time and he's back working at his day job. The other one is the one where he goes a little too far into the future and he ends up at like the end of time, at the
Oh.
end of the world. I don't know if you've ever seen that ending
No, I
before.
don't think I've ever seen that ending.
So,
No.
so like the way he goes, for the listeners, the way he goes back to the, if you've never seen these movies and if you're hearing us talk about it, you're like, what the fuck? This is a horror franchise. It is. I would say watch these. But the way he goes back to the future is there's like this potion he has to drink, and each drop represents like a century that he's gonna travel forward in time to. Which why don't any of the wizards do that? You know, what if they're like, I want to visit the future? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I guess they're not as interested.
probably. But in that alternate version of the movie, which was shown I think in some theaters, he takes like a couple extra drops, so he ends up
Oh, I see.
way like into the future. And then like you see like Big Ben's all destroyed, and he has like the giant ass beard, and he's like, "Where the fuck am I?" And it's him by himself at the end of the world. But
Dang.
yeah, that's where the trilogy ended. It sounds a little absurd, yes, it kind of is, but it's it is what it is. I guess it's amazing. I love it, but that's where the franchise had kind of ended because the trilogy was
The original trilogy. Yeah.
yeah, it's over. You know, the story's concluded up until the 2000s, 2010s, right? You got the whole remake phase of horror where every horror movie's getting a remake, and The Evil Dead was one that was, you know, it obviously got a remake, but like I said, it's not considered a. I mean, it does remake events of some of the movies, but it's still considered to be in continuity, even though nothing really suggests it other than like Ash's car is in like near the cabin.
And
Um.
the last post credit scene maybe.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know if that.
yeah. Ash does appear in the last, like the very last sequence of the movie, but all he says is
Yeah, if
groovy.
anything, I would hope they're trying to like say that they are connected in some way, but maybe it could just be like a cameo. I don't know.
Yeah, I went in. Well, okay. You just recently watched the remake now for like the first time, right?
Yeah, not too long ago, but I think
Right.
I've seen it twice now.
I think probably because I think I streamed it recently.
Yeah.
What did you like? I'm sure you must have heard me talking highly about the remake going into it.
Yes.
I was about to ask like, what did you know going into the remake? But there's no way you avoided me at all not talking
No,
about
I
it.
just remember you telling me that it's great and how much bloodier it was,
Yeah,
much more gruesome and gory. Yeah,
yeah, and
which you were not wrong.
What did you think of the remake?
I actually really liked it. I mean, it's very much unlike the original trilogy in
Yeah.
terms of like the tone. There's
Oh yeah.
some comedy, but it's like mean-spirited
It's
comedy.
the
Like it's just Deadites laughing at the pain of all the other characters, basically.
yeah, and there's times where you do laugh as an audience, but you
Uh-huh.
laugh and you're like, oh, I shouldn't be laughing at that. That's kind of fucked,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, it's like Terrifier funny. You know, like how
Yeah.
Terrifier 2 is funny sometimes.
Where like they have like the head of like the that one chick as like a fucking as where the candy's stored in when the kids
Oh
are trick or
yeah.
treating. It's kind of like the
Yeah.
well, whatever. It's kind of like that, I guess. Not really, but
Uh-huh. But yeah, and I think it's probably the most horror movie out of the
out of all of
rest
them,
of the horror franchise, maybe.
yeah, I think it is the if you are going
Just the way
to
that it's shot, the way that it's filmed,
oh yeah
just the vibe of the whole cabin. Like it seems a lot darker for some reason.
yeah I think this is probably the only one that's actually terrifying. If I
Uh-huh.
had to be honest, I went in. I went in. I don't remember actually if I went in. I had already seen the original three, and I knew it wasn't tonally the same as the others.
Right.
I don't remember if I had heard that people liked it or not.
I see.
But when I watched it, dude, I was blown away because I did not expect it to be so dark. If you are interested in any of the Evil Dead movies, because Evil Dead Rise is coming up, and you're like, I want to watch one. I mean, I would say watch all of them, but Evil
Yeah.
Dead the remake, the 2013 one, is the one that is like straight up horror, like hardcore horror. Like it is
Hmm.
fucked. And it's funny because I was thinking the other day, like, how would I describe this movie? And I was like, oh, it's like mean spirited. It's like gruesome, gory. It's like vulgar too, but not
Yeah.
like it's. But I was thinking like those are the same, like those are all the same words I would use to describe a Rob Zombie movie, but yet somehow they're
Uh-huh.
both completely different.
I
Like
think it's the dialogue.
it's
If I'm
probably
being
yeah,
honest, I think it's the dialogue.
because I enjoy Evil Dead 2013, but like Rob Zombie movies, I'm like, what am I watching? But
And
like,
the writing of the characters, maybe.
yeah, yeah, that's probably what it is. Because this is, I have a blast every time I watch this, and I always like stream this for like a friend that's never seen it.
Yeah.
Alex hadn't seen it until last year, and we watched it. I don't know why we always choose to watch the goriest movies in at school, like Terrifier and this was
Oh man.
on his desk. This was like
Uh-huh.
preparing for finals. He brought in his giant ass computer screen, and we watched it there, dude. I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know
wow.
why we keep doing that, but he loved that movie too, and that movie is it's gory as fuck. I would
Yeah,
recommend
it is. It doesn't get easier to watch every time.
Yeah,
Like the times that I've seen it.
yeah, and kind of like how I mentioned how the movies kind of one up each other with the blood. I don't know how
Mhm.
you could beat this one because it literally rains blood.
Yeah, and that whole like last part of the movie.
To me, the
Yeah.
last act of the movie is perfection. There's nothing I would change about it. Like the moment Mia is like
Hmm.
the moment that David, her brother, has to bury her onward. I think it's just perfect. I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
I like how they also add kind of like rules to the mythology where there has to be 5 victims now in order for this creature called the
Right.
Abomination to rise and start the end of the world, I guess. I do like that aspect because it's kind of like a ticking time bomb now where you have to make sure you and your friends don't die or succumb to
Mhm.
deadites. Spoilers, they kind of lose ish because the abomination.
Yeah, maybe we should get into how it starts, the movie.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, the beginning is so awesome. Okay, what did you think about that beginning? Like going into
Um, well, what do you mean by like the beginning? Like
the
just the whole setup
like
of the movie or
the when because the beginning is kind of like unrelated to everything else. It's like a father. It's a chick, and you see that she gets captured by these people.
Oh, right. That whole like backstory part of it.
It's such a dope
Yeah,
twist.
you're right.
It's
I
so cool.
almost forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like what were you thinking watching that? Were you like, oh these fuckers? And then like it switches it up on you. Where it's like, because you
It
think
does.
you did
Well, I
so
didn't know what
dope.
to expect just based on the rest of the movies, like which way is this gonna go? But
Yeah. So like, there's this. And if you haven't seen this movie, man, I would. I mean, I keep saying that for all of these, but just watch it.
Mhm.
So the beginning starts off with this girl, and she's running in the woods, and these guys kidnap her. They like
Yes.
put a bag over her head and they hit her, and they when she wakes up, she's tied to a post, and you're like, oh fuck, like
Yeah, you
you're
think she's the victim,
you
right?
think she's the victim, and then
Yeah.
there are like these people around her, and they're like, they have the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead, and you're like, oh, these fuckers are gonna do something to her. And then her father shows up, and she's like, sweetie, please, this is for your good. And then
Uh-huh.
she's like, daddy, please, what are you guys gonna do to me? And it's like, oh fuck, like fuck her dad, like he's fucked up for doing this. And then it's revealed
Yeah.
that no, she killed so many people, and that she's possessed, and they're doing this to save her.
Yeah,
And
she's
then
possessed by a deadite.
yeah, and that whole sequence, it goes so hard, dude. It's so dope. I think this is probably my favorite like remake, if we're calling it a remake,
Uh-huh.
out of all the horror remakes I've seen. I think this is probably my favorite.
Yeah, because it's like it's it's not worse than the original, I would say. I think it's like on level,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, and it
Just in
changes.
different ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it changes its tone that the original had, but
Hmm.
it's still great. Like,
It's still a great movie. Yeah.
yeah, you don't watch and you're
Just
like,
slightly different, but yeah, still great.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and God, it's so dope. I
Yeah, so
had
that's how the movie starts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how the movie starts. Oh, and I like the characters. This is one of the only movies in the franchise where I know all the characters by name.
Hmm.
Olivia is the nurse, David is Mia's brother. And oh dude, the backstory I like too, where there's a reason why they can't leave the cabin, and it's because Mia, the protagonist, she's a drug addict. And
Yeah.
like,
She's a heroin addict, but she's trying to kick the addiction.
yeah, and
That's why they're all in this cabin, kind of
mhm.
like as a rehab thing.
Yeah, and she's OD'd
Yeah.
before, so they know her friends, like they've gone through this before, and they're like, we have
Yeah,
to
and
be
like
tough.
she's had withdrawal symptoms. So like
When she's
that's like a
go,
convenient cover up for all the weird shit that she's been seeing in this
yeah.
cabin.
So when she starts seeing weird shit, yeah, it's like, okay,
They're just like,
Mia.
oh, she's done this before,
Hmm. And I like,
basically. So they just take whatever she says lightly, right?
yeah, exactly. That's gotta be fucked, dude. Or you're like, damn, my
Yeah.
friends can't even like, but like, that's not their fault. Like, they think they're doing this with good intent.
Right.
But like from her point of view, it's like I'm helpless out here. Yeah, and she gets possessed, dude. And then oh my god, I love her whole relationship with her and her brother. Where I don't know, like I normally don't care about, especially like in an Evil Dead movie, I probably wouldn't care about it. But
Hmm.
like they're actual like characters where like she's kind of estranged from her brother in a way, and their brother left her with her sick mother who was dying,
Hmm.
and she's kind of resented him towards it. She has some resentment towards him for that, and she's like, you've never really been there for my life, but now David's there for her for this moment, so
Hmm.
he thinks what he's doing best for her, but you're in an Evil Dead movie, so shit's gonna
Yeah,
go
just
sideways
wrong
quick.
place, wrong time for all
Yeah,
that.
and I don't know why, but the moment I always find this so heartbreaking. It's when he realizes he has to bury her in order to save her, and
Right, because that's what the book says.
yeah, and I like that the book also has rules on like how you could save
Uh huh.
people: dismemberment, burning them, or bury them
Very.
alive. And he chooses that, and it's pretty smart, honestly, where he bags her head with he puts a plastic bag over her head, and then he buries her so that way her head, I guess, is protected and doesn't, like, dirt doesn't get in her, I guess. So when
Yeah, it's like a loophole, I guess.
yeah, so then when her heart stops, he quickly digs her out, and then restarts her
Hmm.
heart, and then ta-da, she's good. But when he's burying her and she's like, why do you hate me, David? And she's like, every time mother, like when she was dying, she thought I was you, and then when when she realized that I wasn't, she'd ask for you, and I'd be like, oh, he's on his way, like don't worry. Like, I don't know, I
Uh
always found that was like cool, and it's like
huh. Yeah.
heart wrenching because he's like, that's his sister who is in this situation. Maybe because of him, who knows? But
But what if it's just the Deadite just making everything up?
that's true. Yeah, it could also be the Deadite, but
But
he
I mean, it's probably true, and the Deadite's just
like using it.
revealing it, I guess.
Yeah, but like it's
Yeah.
so dude, it's so good. The everything that everyone endures in this movie, like
Oh man,
Mia
and boy,
when
do they endure it. Especially, what's his name? The
Okay, I
dude with
actually forget his
glasses.
name. Like the teacher. I forget his name
Yeah,
actually.
man, that guy gets it the worst.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude, he gets like a needle stuck in his like right under his
Oh god,
eye.
yeah,
Oh, and
yeah,
then
it's
that one
bad.
chick, she's carving out like her fucking
Ooh.
jaw. And then Mia has like the hot water on her, just like boiling.
Ah.
Oh my god. That yeah, and
It's a
then
good movie.
it's a
It's a good
good
movie.
it's brutal as fuck.
Uh huh.
And then that I like how they do some callbacks to like the iconography of the franchise. So that other chick, David's girlfriend, she like cuts off her hand because it's getting like rotten, I guess.
Yeah.
And oh my god, and then Mia like oh I forgot. I just remembered Mia like cuts her tongue in half with the fucking razor.
Ooh. Uh huh.
Oh my god. But also like David, you
And
think
she loses a hand at the end too, right?
oh she does lose a hand like Ash.
Just like
Um
Ash.
but I like that like I when I was watching this for the first time, I thought David was gonna be the protagonist.
Uh huh. The
Like
brother.
like I thought like he was the new Ash in a way, I guess. Especially when he goes to the shed, and I like that little moment where they kind of play around with like there's the chainsaw, and then the camera
Oh,
just
but he
goes
doesn't
to
grab the chainsaw.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you think he was? Did you already know going in that like he wasn't gonna be the?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, you
But I
didn't know,
wasn't really expecting someone to try to fill those shoes, if I'm
right?
being honest.
I couldn't not think of Ash when watching
Yeah.
this, so I kind of had that like meta knowledge, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But I was like, oh, and then when he once he died, I was like, oh shit, like is she like the protagonist? Which
Uh-huh.
I think I like her as a protagonist. She gets the
Yeah, no, yeah,
chainsaw.
it works. I think she's a
Yeah,
great protagonist.
yeah, and yeah, she's the one that saves. She goes from victim to antagonist to
Hmm.
protagonist, and I think it
That's
doesn't
true,
feel
she
forced
does.
at all. I think it's like it feels
It
natural.
works.
I think it works. Yeah, I was gonna rank all these movies. Do you have them ranked?
I do have them ranked. I have them ranked from, I don't know, how should we do this? From least favorite to favorite or favorite to least favorite?
I guess we could do least favorite to favorite.
Okay.
Do you want to start off with your number four?
Yes, I will start off with my number four. And I'll just start off by saying that all these movies are great, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So just because it's the last one doesn't mean it's a bad movie
All
by
right.
any means. Yeah. So I have the original, The Evil Dead, as my number four.
Yeah.
I think it's a great movie. It's a classic, you know? Like it's been parodied and done over so many times.
Yeah.
That's how timeless it is.
Yeah.
Great simple story.
Yeah. It is.
Kicked off the franchise, yeah.
Yeah. It's simple. It's great. It's like honestly, yeah. It's great. It's great. Mine. I find it also hard to talk about the first one. I'm like, I don't know what else to say about it. But my fourth one, I gotta say, it's same thing you said. It just
Oh, okay.
happens to be number four.
Yeah.
It's not because it's bad or anything. It's just I find the other three better.
Mhm.
To me, it's Army of Darkness. That's my number four.
Oh, okay.
Even though I said that this is my favorite Ash,
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the goofy Ash. Um, I just enjoy the other ones a little better. Maybe because I've seen the other ones more. But
Yeah.
there's no real reason I can pinpoint to why I like the other ones more than this one. It's just I don't know. I enjoy the other ones more. There's no real reason, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I have Army of Darkness as my number three, actually.
You have that dope shirt of the poster. I love that poster.
Oh,
one-
the shirt that I have?
Yeah, the one where it's
Yeah.
him and yeah, I love that. It's like out of time, out of gas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got
that
everything
would've-
in the movie on that poster. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely the most comedic out of the bunch, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, you can make an argument for Evil Dead 2, but I'd say it's the most comedic in terms of that's what it's going for, maybe.
Mhm.
But it also kind of feels like an adventure fantasy movie at times
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Deadites and Ash, which I mean, Ash is really the reason why you're watching that movie, probably.
yeah, yeah. Like
But yeah,
everything else is good, but Ash is like he's the shining star of that one.
yeah, definitely. But
Mm,
yeah, Army of Darkness is my number three. Still
yeah,
a really good movie.
yeah, really good. My number three is gonna be. This is hard. I think. Uh, I think honestly, this ranking is hard because I like them all, but right now, just based off of the way I'm feeling, and then this could change in an hour. This could change
Uh
tomorrow. I don't
huh.
know. I'm just gonna go with Evil Dead 2 as my number
Okay.
three. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's my number three. Again, I don't know. I think there's no real reason why. Like,
Yeah.
I think this Ash is better than the Ash in the first one by a
Uh huh.
mile. But like, yeah, I don't. I just right now I'm feeling this one at number three. I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so for my number two, I have Evil Dead 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think one and two, in my opinion, are pretty evenly matched.
Oh, right.
I don't know. They're
Yeah.
they're both really good movies,
Yeah.
just obviously in different ways.
Uh huh.
But yeah, Evil Dead 2013. I think we've talked enough about it. It's a good movie.
Yeah. My number two is the original, The Evil
Uh-huh.
Dead. Again, it's great. It spawned a great franchise,
Hmm.
and it's such a simple story. Just this group of friends, like you said, it's been parodied to death. I didn't even finish my sentence. It's a group of friends who go to a cabin and they find this cursed book, and there's a tape recorder that plays what's on the book, and possession shit happens. And I mean, Cabin in the Woods is kind of like a parody of this in a way ish, at least
Yeah,
like the
it is.
premise.
And the setting.
Yeah, and the setting. There's a scary movie that's kind of like this. No, I forget which one. Probably the third one. I don't remember.
Probably the third one.
Just because I remember,
I don't know.
I remember
I,
see.
I don't remember a lot about those movies, especially the earlier ones.
Oh yeah,
I do remember the first one a lot because it was the parody of Scream,
it's just Scream.
right?
It's Scream, and I know what you did
Yeah,
last summer. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah. I had a friend once who confused scary movie for Scream, and they were like,
Oh
"Oh
god.
yeah, like Scream's kind of stupid and stuff," and I'm like, "What?" And then yeah, there's a scary movie that they're talking about. I like scary. I haven't seen Scary Movie in a while. I think I like Scary Movie. Oh, sorry. How did I get on this tangent? Evil Dead, the Evil Dead, the original one is great. And yeah, it's my number two.
And for my number one, I have Evil Dead 2.
I'm gonna be
Is it
honest.
just called that, or is it Evil Dead 2 Dead by Dawn?
I think it's Dead by Dawn. Yeah,
Okay.
which is
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's my favorite out of the franchise.
I kind of
Not.
saw this one being your number one. If I'm being
Did
honest.
you really?
Yeah, I was like, I have a feeling
Yeah.
it's gonna be Evil Dead, Dead by Dawn.
I could have guessed that what your number one is would have been your number one, but I also thought it might have been Evil Dead 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuck. You know what? Fine then.
Well, you don't have to
No,
change
no, no,
your
no.
opinion now. It's fine.
My third spot is the original Evil Dead. My second spot is Evil Dead 2 now.
Okay.
Because now that
Okay.
I think about it, like, yeah, Evil Dead 2 is amazing. Okay, number 2 is Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, it balanced. Oh, for you?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Sorry, go
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. Right. No. Go ahead.
No,
I
no.
was just gonna say that the tone of the movie, I think it perfectly balances the horror-ish kinda
Yeah,
and the comedy aspect of it.
yeah. It's so
But yeah,
fun.
like you said, it definitely leans a little bit more into the comedy, but it still works as kind of like a psychological horror
Yeah.
because clearly Ash is being tormented throughout the whole movie, basically.
Yeah. He's fucked mentally, dude. Like you don't
Uh-huh.
like it's just the shit he goes through in that movie. It's holy fuck. I think one of the
Yeah.
best sequences. I don't know why. It's so stupid. It's that deer laughing and him falling out of his chair. I don't know why. It's so
Doesn't he start laughing maniacally too?
Oh yeah. He joins them and he starts laughing.
Yeah.
And then he does a weird pose with his hands where he's like squatting up and down or something.
just loses it in that whole movie.
Let me see if I can find a.
It's great.
Let me see if I can find a gif of this, because that movie is
Plus
so.
the I think the makeup for the Deadites was like exponentially improved,
Oh yeah, I
and the
mean,
practical effects are great. I think,
yeah. There's like actual like prosthetics and stuff.
and
Like
just the things that the Deadites say sometimes are hilarious.
yeah, like that is an improvement. What I sent you right now over like just the
Oh
simple
yeah.
makeup on like
Uh
the
huh.
faces. Yeah, but I mean it's all great. This is the shit that always kills me. It's just him like squatting up and down with his arms like that. I don't know. It's just so
I don't
good.
really remember that scene, but yeah, that's probably in that movie.
Yeah, I don't know why that stance is something I always remember he does. It's like
Oh
he's about to do
man.
the chicken dance or something. But yeah, that shit's great. I don't know, that whole sequence is just amazing. And then
Uh huh.
him getting the chainsaw hand, which is like absurd, but it's so cool. And then him
Yeah,
doing the
like it
whole,
doesn't even explain how it works. It just works.
and then he's like groovy, dude. You know how they do the Fathom events where like they show like on the anniversary
Yeah.
of some movies in theaters.
Uh huh.
I know they did the Evil Dead one, the first one. I don't know why I missed that one. I think
Oh.
it might have been around the same time as the Scream one, which we did. So that's
Oh.
probably
Okay.
why. Um,
I see.
Probably had to choose one or the other. But I saw that they had one, I think, for Evil, or at least Evil. I don't know if that's what it was, but Evil Dead 2 was being shown in theaters.
Really?
And someone recorded like a theater reaction. And it's
Uh huh.
so amazing where it's that sequence where he's gearing up and he cuts the shotgun, like cuts off the bit of it, and he
Uh
starts
huh. The
suiting up,
barrel.
and then he puts the chainsaw together and he puts his hand in it, and then
Yeah.
he says groovy. Once he says groovy, like the whole theater starts cheering and stuff. It's I want to
Wow.
experience something like that in a theater. But my number one is the remake.
Uh huh.
I don't know how many people would have this in their number one.
I feel like maybe 40 something percent
Yeah, it's
of most fans of the franchise.
yeah. I freaking love that movie, dude. I have like a poster of it, but it's not like the original poster of it. It's like I have a poster of that in Army of Darkness
Oh, it's
because
not like the red poster
it
with
is the
the chick under the
yeah, it is
in the
that red
basement.
poster.
Oh, it is that one.
Yeah, but it's not like the original theater used one.
Oh,
It's like a
okay.
much smaller size. I want to get it though, like as an original, like double sided one. But that poster looks so sick. That movie like just fucks, dude. That movie's great. I kind of want to watch it now. It's so good. I am so devastated that there was supposed to be a sequel to that. Well, okay. There's a lot of Evil Dead
I was
movies
gonna
that
ask you
never.
that if the new ones at all connected.
That's a good question. I know that. Have you seen the trailer for the new one? No, all right, no.
No,
They didn't show it in front of Megan at all.
they did not.
That's weird. Well, if the trailer is, I'm not gonna spoil anything about it, right? But it's amazing, and it looks to be more tonally similar to the remake than the other three.
Oh,
So it looks
okay.
straight up horror.
I
Um,
see.
and I don't remember, but I think there's moments in the trailer where it's like darkly comedic, like it's like fucked. Um,
Oh,
and it was like a red band trailer, so they get to show gruesome stuff, and there is some gore in this movie that's like holy fuck.
oh.
And no spoilers, right? I'm not trying to
Uh
give out
huh.
much, but it looks like they are competing with the remake for a lot of blood.
Oh, I see.
It looks amazing.
As is tradition in the series.
As this tradition, there's a
Yeah.
chainsaw. There's this tradition.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, like I'm so glad. I wouldn't have minded if it was like a horror comedy, but
Uh
the
huh.
fact that it's more in line with the remake, I kind of really like, because there was never an official sequel to the remake released, which there was supposed to be, but whatever. I guess it didn't happen. The chick who played Mia, she said she didn't. I've seen like behind the scenes stuff of the remake, and it looks like an arduous like
Filming
shoot that they
Oh,
had.
really?
Like the
Dang.
whole her in like blood, and when it's raining, that's all practical, and
Dang.
like they had to do multiple like sequences of that and whatnot. She said she wasn't
Oh,
gonna do
man.
horror, but then she ended up being in Don't Breathe. So it's like a couple years later, so it's like, bruh. But she was supposed to be a protagonist in the second Evil Dead. Well, the second one to the remake. That didn't happen, but I'm bummed out that we never got that, because I would have loved to have seen. Who knows? Maybe she becomes like the new Ash. That would have been sick.
Mia? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the. We didn't talk about it at all, but she's in the video game, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
fun to play. They have the castle from the third one as a map, Castle Kandar.
Mm-hmm.
They have the knights as some of the characters you could play in the video game. Henry the Red and King Arthur.
And the blacksmith, even.
And the blacksmith. Yeah, Evil Ash is an enemy you gotta fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Oh, and there's the show. We didn't talk about the show at all.
Oh, right. We forgot to mention the show, which I think is also canon.
I think so.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be, I guess, canon.
Yeah.
Well,
You're right.
well, how did Ash end up with the Necronomicon again after the events of 2013? If that one's in canon,
I think it's explained in the show in like the first episode. I just forgot.
Yeah,
He somehow has it though, I think.
yeah, he somehow has it. I know he ends up releasing it because he's drunk or something, or like the
Yeah.
Deadites again. I guess.
Yeah, something like that. He like goes on a bender one night and just starts reading from it.
Yeah. The show's also pretty good, but yeah,
It's definitely more comedy,
yeah,
but yeah,
it's more comedy, but
it's also good.
it's also good. Yeah,
It only went 3 seasons before it was canceled, I think.
yeah, only 3 seasons. I'm surprised that's actually kind of long for. Well,
It
I
kind
say
of
that's
is,
long
yeah.
for a show, but I don't watch shows much. But I can't wait for the new one, Evil Dead Rise. I'm excited, and also cautiously optimistic. I don't want them to fail.
Yes.
It might be good because it was originally supposed to be streaming on HBO Max, but like there was test screenings for it and people really enjoyed it, and people were like,
Oh,
"Why is
okay.
this going straight to streaming?"
It's gonna get a wider theatrical release
Yes,
then.
so now it's straight to theaters. Now it's like, okay, well,
Nice.
just fuck it. It's and so yeah. I mean, if they're confident enough to do that, it's
That's a good sign.
hopefully it's good.
I think. I would hope.
Yeah. So yeah. Hopefully this, if you haven't seen the Evil Dead movies, hopefully you're like, shit, I want to watch those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're fun. At least give them all a watch, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, and
But you'd strongly recommend the remake.
I was gonna say I was gonna strongly recommend the remake.
Yeah.
Just because
I mean, if you don't want to get into all the silliness that is the whole series, then yeah, you could just watch that one.
yeah,
That's a great horror movie there.
yeah, it's, oh my god, that movie, it's so good. Yeah, see y'all. Oh, this is the witching hour. See y'all on the Salem station.
Is that how you close these off usually?
I don't remember how I close these off. We are here at the witching hour already, so I don't need to see y'all later. Bye. Peace.